What's up, YouTuber fans, streaming fans, and cryptocurrency fans? It's your boy VR. Welcome to the show. Before you leave my channel, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and please leave some comments and hit that notification button. But overall, today I have a great video from Joe Hernandez. He is very popular in Chicago blockchain and cryptocurrency scenes. He is one of the head guys in charge of Chicago Blockchain Project Company. They're located in the merchandise building downtown. And his presentation is about bringing folks who has financial problems and giving them hope in the blockchain sector. Using staking, mining, just the profitability of cryptocurrencies to pay others and to network with others so everybody can perform on one team. So enjoy the scenery, and then we'll get directly to the show. And remember, smash that like button. Peace.
You guys are actually in for like a real treat. Like, anybody who didn't realize what they were walking into tonight, or was just think it was like a regular everyday meetup, like, Rumi is phenomenal. I'm more excited about what she's going to present on Wednesday than I have been excited about anything I've seen this year.
Including today?
Well, Ink Builders is pretty good. Ink Builders is pretty good as well. And Joe's one of the most supportive and helpful people in the Chicago tech ecosystem. So another round of applause for them, because they're both very knowledgeable people that every time I see, I feel like I learned something, which is very valuable when I'm going to give up like 2 hours of my day. I'm like, I really want to learn here. So Chicago Blockchain Project is a community first. When you're thinking about building like a decentralized ecosystem, it starts with the community. A lot of traditional entrepreneurs are coming to us and asking, how do I begin building this? And they think, well, I need to start finding a developer. And then I go these traditional routes of like VC, but for a while VCs weren't even touching it. Now they're looking at it. But most of the ones that are investing heavily are kind of in that newer investing edge. And all of a sudden now we have some things that are happening that are making it so if you're not into blockchain and decentralized systems, you kind of need to pay attention all of a sudden. So I'm going to start out with where I started, and I think a lot of people started into blockchain. How many of you actually feel like you're very knowledgeable about blockchain right now? I'm going to say I've got a pretty good idea. How many of you own some kind of cryptocurrency? How many of you think cryptocurrencies are stupid, but blockchain is what it's all about? How many of you think you actually know the answer to any of that? Because really, like, nobody knows. At Chicago Blockchain Project, we put together a really awesome team so far. Ala, my co-founder, was a 25 under 25 female entrepreneur in Europe. She built blockchain systems in 2013, 2014, installed into 6 governments around the globe. And Danny actually built Litecoin. It's actually a system, well, the second ever proof of work, proof of stake hybrid. I know that means nothing to you, but proof of stake actually is kind of a system where the inflation rate to secure the network is done as a sort of interest rate that goes out. And the smart thing he did was he actually said, well, instead of just giving that coin to a charity, why don't we actually send it into a one-way wallet where it'll sit there and then stake in perpetuity for that charity. So now they have about 8 charities making about $3,000 a month off of this Donate for Life program, and based off the inflation rate of keeping this network secure. Because why wouldn't you just give a little 10% to something? So we built that back in 2014. To fight back then, the impression of blockchain was all these companies were just copy pasting Bitcoin's code and making all kinds of scam, pumping and dumping them. And that was his way to get a little bit better image or branding, PR for the blockchain space. And now we're watching it again. It happened with this ICO craze that happened recently. And that doesn't mean that there's not good technologies that came through the ICO. Just like Rumi said, I'm very, very confident that open source and decentralized protocols with an underlying token are going to be the way that a lot of things work. Because you either have centralized systems that are kind of very valuable for 1, 2, 3 people. Think about how brands work. Think about basically anything in the creative domain where there's the top 1 or 2% basically get all the attention, right? And then you have the long tail of like a YouTube, where many users together in a community create value together. So with Chicago Blockchain Project, we wanted to say, if we could get paid for doing some work together. Originally it was 4 of us sitting in a room, the first meetup ever, saying, I can't keep up with this shit. How about you study that, you go and look at that, and when we get back together for the meetup next week, we'll all put our brains together and put our information down together. We'll start up a Google Sheet. And then it became, all right, well then how do we know who contributes more or less, or who's slacking off, getting to Parad's question there. And we said, well, if we could tokenize that little bit of time, then anytime, let's say we got a bunch of good information and somebody wanted to pay us for it, we could give it back to everybody proportionally to the tokens that they hold from our group. Makes sense, right? It's not a very difficult thing. And that's the way that these decentralized systems and open source systems with an underlying asset actually create the value. But as soon as you bring it to this open market, well, now you have a bunch of people that, who here could tell me, even within like $10 trillion of what the financial service industry market cap is? Just total banking or insurance. Anybody know what the total derivatives in the world is? The amount of value being traded back and forth? Right, somewhere in the range of 200 to 700 trillion dollars, depending who you ask. All right, my point being that the market cap right now of crypto assets of any type is like 250 billion. It's barely enough for a regulator even to pay attention to it yet. So that's why we're seeing all this news about it. And it's actually done a very interesting thing, bringing this attention. It's got people so scared to put just an asset out there and collect money for it in a decentralized way that now they're moving towards these security tokens. And I actually think security tokens are a very interesting concept. Now, who here has heard of a liquidity premium? There's 2 things I want to focus on right now. A liquidity premium and a risk premium. I'm going to talk about the liquidity premium first. If you have a startup, or if you're a VC investing in a startup, how long are you going to expect to hold that asset until you can sell it?
18 months.
More, definitely more. In your business plan. Generally 5 to 10 years, 7 years average. The security token it needs to be held for 12 months. But let's say you're trying to raise money for your company. And you find that investor, and instead of having to guess that it's going to be 7 years before he can get rid of that asset, he can do it after 1 year. Is that more or less risk on that investor? Okay, now, instead of 3 investors each holding a big chunk of this, imagine each one of them holds 1 million small chunks of it and can sell them off piece by piece, one at a time. And alleviate risk slowly but surely as the market changes conditions. What's happening with the risk now? Is it more or less? Quite a bit less. So what we're going to see here is the unlocking of a liquidity premium as assets of all types start to be tokenized. And it's not very far off. The launch of the mainnet for actually a Chicago company that I'm very proud of because they did it kind of the right way. They kept their heads down, they built, and are ready to launch their mainnet. Well, there's two other companies out there that are very loud about their abilities and what they're building, but they're not even close to ready. A group called Open Finance Network out of Chicago actually has a alternative asset exchange platform that will run and trade and keep all of the KYC AML for the clearing and settlement of these tokenized securities. A group called Polymath has come out with an actual protocol layer technology that will prove to anybody that if you're able to hold that digital asset, that you have already done your KYC AML. And there's more. There's a couple platforms that you can use right now. The Republic platform will allow you to raise money using a tokenized asset for any entrepreneur, and you can do it with people paying you in regular dollars, right? Just their credit card, $10 or even less. This is using a function called the Regulation CF. It's Regulation Crowdfund Law that allows an entrepreneur to raise up to $1 million, $1,070,000 from non-accredited investors. And that same entrepreneur could run a private placement at the same time, or before, or after. And the game we saw that began with the ICO market was a system of what they call token economics, which you don't want to get confused with crypto economics if you hear the term. Crypto economics is all about how the token secures the network. Token economics is what is your discount at what level of your sale. I have seen companies that should not have been allowed to walk into MHub sell out 8 rounds of private sale, right, at varying levels of discount, all the way up until their ICO, where now there's so much hype behind it and they have so many partners. I'm choosing that word carefully because they now have hundreds and thousands of partners who are bought into the success that they started as just this little dream, standing there with their friends saying, hey, how about you giving me this information, you research that information, and I'll go ahead and look at this, we'll put it together, we'll make it a company. Now, those efforts that we can share as a community can be tokenized and paid back to the community. So that's what we really want to do. If you want to move to the next slide, what we want to do is take you on what I call the path to decentralization. This is, when I started first, I was curious, so I got on the web. I looked around, found a bunch of YouTube videos. I spent probably more time figuring out if the people I was finding were worth learning from than actually learning about what I wanted to learn about. So I had to find some other people. So we have the Chi-Town Crypto chat room, which is not our thing. It's actually a decentralized chat room where there's like 30 admins from around Chicago that'll block out any bullshit that comes in there, any scammers or anybody who's looking to do you wrong. And then the next phase was I started thinking to myself, am I the only one here? This was what actually generated the meetup. I had a girlfriend and my brother come into the room, and she was like, hey, does he ever shut up about Bitcoin anymore? And he's like, no, never. So I had to start the meetup group and meet other people in real life. So that's why we have a meetup group for you to go, because the digital groups want to meet in person and the in-person groups want to go and find the chat room, right? The next thing we started doing was saying, okay, well, if all of us are learning and all of us have different skills, we can teach each other. Seems pretty easy. So now we have developer classes being run, create an ERC20 token, or create an auction smart contract that is taught by one of the people in the community, and everybody else isn't too hard on them, because we're all learning together, so experiential learning. Then we said, well, if there's companies that are building free open source protocols that are just good for the world anyway, why don't we have the developer classes work on the free open source part of it? They can go ahead and make their closed source platform, but anybody can actually access that. And if we're gonna do that, well, we might as well tokenize the whole thing and put some sort of system behind it. So what we're looking to do, and I'm going to tell you guys exactly what it is so you can follow our model or join in, participate. The great thing about this whole thing is it's very nice for collaboration. There's nothing that you could do that I would find competitive. I would simply help you because in this new paradigm that we're building, there doesn't need to be competition anymore. Specifically because of these assets, these digital assets. When you have scarcity in the digital world, you can trap value there, and you can create value by people who build new products. This is what gets me really excited, because for a long time, if you wanted to agree on a set of data, when it came in and what the truth was of what the data was, especially with somebody around the world, you had this thing that was like a speed of light problem. In one Visa transaction, it goes about, the speed of light takes about 10 kilometers. But if you're trying to calculate a bunch of transactions with somebody on the other side of the world, you gotta find a system that's actually gonna make it work for you. So you either have high frequency trading, which creates this false scarcity of real estate, or you have something like the Google scanner system, which creates this false scarcity of data. When we don't need either of those things, because of the properties that blockchain has, and we can create that scarcity in the digital world, we have infinite potential for building right now. I would tell you that we are on the edge of, most people are thinking, are we going to the blockchain age from the internet age? I look at it more as, we were in the age where we were basically running around just like farting in bathtubs and slapping each other's asses and stuff, right? Eating stuff wherever we could find it, picking up grubs. And then we finally figured out things like mechanical time and religion and other ways to actually mass coordinate people. And that goes right up until now, where we've gotten more and more competitive as we've gone along, because there's been a scarcity of more and more things. And now all of a sudden we can create new digital value that we all can have consensus and agree on the value that it holds. This gives us the opportunity to collaborate at a different level. What we can do now is say this community and everybody who participates will get paid for the input that they put in, and they don't have to ask permission. In the Bitcoin community, if you build something like a payment system, you're adding value to that ecosystem, and by holding the underlying asset, you benefit from participating in something. It's not about the speculation of the cryptocurrency or the crypto asset underneath it. The asset just represents a goal. The goal of the Bitcoin is to have a secure set of data that we can agree on is the value that each of us holds. There's a lot of other currencies that represent something, and the Chai token is meant to represent building Chicago to be the blockchain capital of the world. I don't know if it's a goal we can get to, but it's definitely one that's easy to see. And what that token does is it actually incentivizes collaboration from anybody who's building. So if you need help, we will pay those developers to help you. We will pay people who are knowledgeable in one area to teach other people about that. And we will pay them with the value that we can put together by having a community and throwing events like the Voice of Blockchain. Slide. So in August at Navy Pier, we went super aggressive here. Somehow I was able to raise $150,000 in 5 days. And this is partly because Consensus just happened in New York, one of the bigger conferences, and tickets were $2,800. So right now, with the code CDP Meetup, we have ours at $299. And Consensus said they were going to have 4,500 people, so I said we're going to have 4,501. But then we had this problem where they sold like 4,000 tickets in the last 2 weeks. So we said, well, let's do this. Let's really go all out. And we raised up the money, and now it's happening. So we're going to put 4,000 people at Navy Pier, and we hope that you guys join us. And check out our website, ChicagoBlockchainProject.com. The information for Voice of Blockchain is on there. You can get the tickets. You can sign up to be a builder in our community. There's top 10 lists, because those are easy to digest. Top 10 videos we recommend you watch if you want to go down the rabbit hole. Top 10 podcasts and so forth. But mostly just fill out the form. Tell us if you want to be a builder or a project or investor. We will begin, as we start our protocol after Voice of Blockchain here, we'll begin paying Chicagoans to help each other to reach your next level. So thank you.